welcome back. Let's get started. For today, read more about tanks. That's the Russia T-80 tanks. I like to read about the Russian T-80 tanks because I did read about the Ukrainian T-84 tanks. And the Ukrainian T-84 is built on this platform there. It's all the Russian, and we have this war in Ukraine, so I like to read about some of the Russian tanks, that T-60 something, 62 or 74. But after this I will read about Leopard 2 tanks and 1 and 3. And we have to continue to read about the modern Western tanks. But it's soon 1 p.m. and already I start to be a little bit tired today, and I'm freezing a little bit. And my internet connection will close some hours tonight because they're going to repair. So but it will open again in the Friday morning, and we have a storm arriving Denmark. We have a very bad weather arriving my country, but that's more in the other part of my north Jutland. So let's read about this Russian T. I think that's from the Cold War. That's some kind of Cold War tanks. It's a little bit more than after the Cold War. That's like a second generation main battle tanks maybe.
T-80 T-80 General Rehearsal 2018-21.jpg T-80 BVM, the latest variant of the T-80 type main battle tank. Place of origin Soviet Union. Service history. In service 1976. Present used by sea operators. Wars August coup. First Chechen War. Yemeni Civil War 2014. Present 1. 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. 2. Production history. Designer Nikolay Popov, LKZ, T-80. 3. KMDB, T-80 UD. Designed 1967-1975. Manufacturer LKZ and Omsk. Transmash, Russia. Mileshev Factory, Ukraine. 4. Unit cost USD $3 million. 5. Produced 1975-2001. T-80. 6. 1987 present. T-80 UD, no build 5400 plus. 4. Variants engineering and recovery. Mobile bridge, mine plow with KMT-6. The T-80 is a main battle tank, MBT-11, that was designed and manufactured in the former Soviet Union and manufactured in Russia. The T-80 is based on the T-64, while incorporating features from the later T-72. The chief designer of the T-80 was Soviet engineer Nikolay Popov. 12. When it entered service in 1976, it was the second MBT in the world to be equipped with a gas turbine engine, after the Swedish Stridsvagn 103, and the first production tank to use it as a main propulsion engine. The first tank to use a gas turbine as a main engine was the prototype British Conqueror FV200 turbine test vehicle. 13. The T-80U was last produced in 2001 in a factory in Omsk, Russia. The Ukrainian T-80U diesel engine variant continued to be produced in Ukraine. The T-80 and its variants are in service in Belarus, Cyprus, Egypt, Kazakhstan. 14. Pakistan, Russia, South Korea, Ukraine and Uzbekistan. Ukraine further developed the T-80 UD as the T-84. History. Development. The project to build the first Soviet turbine-powered tank began in 1949. Its designer was a chapter Starastienko, who worked at the Leningrad Kirov plant, LKZ. The tank was never built because available turbine engines were of very poor quality. In 1955, a prototype 1000 HP, 746 kilowatts, turbine engines were built at the same plant under the guidance of Gia Obloblin. 2 years later, a team led by Joseph Kotin constructed two prototypes of the Object 278 tank. Both were hybrids of the IS-7 and the T-10 heavy tanks, powered by the GTD-1 turbine engine, weighing 53.5 tons and armed with an M65 130mm tank gun. The turbine engine allowed the tank to reach a maximum speed of 57.3 km forward/h, 35.6 miles per hour, however with only 1,950 liters of fuel on board. The range was limited to only 300 km, 190 mi. The two tanks were considered experimental vehicles and work on them eventually ceased. In 1963, the Morozov Design Bureau designed the T-64 and T-64T tanks. They used GTD-3TL turbine engines which plow type system and KMT-7 roller type system. Specifications: T-80B /T-80U, mass 42.5 tons, T-80B, 46 tons, T-80U, 4, length 9.9 m, 32 feet 6 in, T-80B 9.654 m, 31 feet 8.1 in, T-80U, gun forward, 7.4 m, 24 feet 3 in, T-80B 7 m, 23 feet 0 in, T-80U, hull, 4, width 3.4 m, 11 feet 2 in, T-80B 3.603 m, 11 feet 9.9 in, T-80U, 4, height 2.202 m, 7 feet 2.7 in, T-80B, T-80U, 4, crew 3, 4, armor T-80B hull 450 mm vs AFS 575 mm vs HEAT, turret 500 mm vs AFS 650 mm vs heat, 7. T-80U hull and turret with contact 5780 mm vs AFS 1,320 mm vs heat, 8. Main armament smoothbore 125 mm to a 46-2 gun, 9. 36 round sound 49M112 Cobra items, T-80B, to a 46M1 with 45 round sound 69M119 reflex atoms, T-80U, 4. Secondary armament 7.62mm PKT Koks MG 12.7mm NSVT Orchka PKT Anti-Aircraft Mchenjinisk 1000 Gas Turbine T-80B, GTD 1250 Turbine T-80U, or one of 3 Diesel T-80U, 10. Generated 700 HP, 522 kilowatts. The tank was tested until 1965. At the same time, at Ural-Vagon-Zavod, a design team under the guidance of L.N. Kartsev created the Object 167T tank. In 1964, in its report to First Secretary Nikita Khrushchev, the team reported that their design was not worth pursuing partly due to its high fuel use. 15, 16. Soviet T-80 during maneuvers March 1986. In 1960, Khrushchev ended all heavy tank programs. LKZ, concerned with the poor reliability of the 5T diesel engine of the T-64, was freed to focus on gas turbine tank engine development. In 1967, the SP. Isotoph Bureau at the Klimov Research Production Association was assigned to this project. Rather than repurpose an existing helicopter engine, Isotoph built the GTD 1000T from scratch. 17. In 1966, the LKZ built the experimental Object 288 rocket tank powered by two aerial GTD 350 turbine engines with a combined power of 691 HP, 515 kilowatts. Trials indicated that twin propulsion was no better than the turbine engine which had been in development since 1968 at LKZ and Omsk Transmash. 18. Object 219. The tank from LKZ equipped with this turbine engine was designed by Nikolai Popov. It was constructed in 1969 and designated Object 219 SP1.19. It weighs essentially the T-64T powered by a GTD 1000T multi-fuel gas turbine engine producing up to 1000 HP, 746 kilowatts. During the trials it became clear that the increased weight and dynamic characteristics required a complete redesign of the vehicle's suspension. The second prototype, designated Object 219 SP2, receive a bigger drive sprockets and return rollers. The number of off-road wheels was increased from 5 to 6. The construction of the turret was altered to use the same compartment, 125 mm to a 46 tank gun, autoloader and placement of ammunition as the T-64. Some other 1000 HP T-80B, 1250 HP T-80U, 4. Power forward/weight 23.5 HP, 17.6 kilowatts, forward/ton T-80B 27.2 HP, 20.3 kilowatts, forward/ton T-80U transmission manual, 5 forwards, 1 reverse T-80B 4 forward, 1 reverse T-80U, 4. Suspension torsion bar, 4. Ground clearance 0.38 m, 1.2 feet, T-80B 0.446 m, 1.46 feet, T-80U, 4. Fuel capacity 1,100 liters, 240 imp-gal, internal, 740 liters, 160 imp-gal, external, operational range 335 km, 208 mi, road without external tanks, 415 km, 258 mi, road with external tanks, 4. Maximum speed 80 km forward/h, 50 miles per hour, T-80U. 48 km per hour, 30 miles per hour, cross country, 10. Equipment was borrowed from the T-64. The LK's plant built a series of prototypes based on Object 219 SP2.18. In November 1974, Minister of Defense Andrei Grigko denied approval to put the Object 219 into production due to the tank's high fuel use and lack of advantages in armament and armor over other tanks in production. Grigko died in April 1976, and Dmitry Ustinov, an enthusiastic supporter of the Object 219, was appointed in his place. The Object 219 to was accepted for production as the T-80 in August 1976. 2021. Production history. This T-80BV has reactive armor adapted to its turret and hull. The latter T-80U has a large applique of explosive reactive armor installed providing higher crew and tank survivability than prior models. The Object 219R, incorporating combination K composite armor, was accepted for Soviet service in 1978 as the T-80B. Production of the original T-80 ended that same year. The T-80B entered production at Omsk Transmash in 1979. Omsk developed a command version called the T-80BK. The T-80B was deployed with the group of Soviet forces in Germany in 1981. 22. Initially, the T-80 was confused with the Soviet T-72 by some Western analysts. They are the products of different design bureaus. The T-80 is from the SKB-2 Design Bureau of the Kirov Factory, LKZ, in Leningrad, while the T-72 is from the Uralvagonzavod factory in Nizhny Tagil. They are similar in superficial appearance, but the T-80 is based on the earlier T-64, while incorporating features from the T-72, which was a complementary design. 23. The T-64 in turn was an earlier high-technology main battle tank designed by the Morozov Design Bureau, KMDB, in Kharkiv to replace the T-54, T-55 and T-62 MBTs used before in the Soviet Union. From a distance, the T-64, T-72 and T-80 look alike. Despite the similarities, the T-80 is 90 cm longer than the T-64, and the T-80 and T-72 are mechanically very different. The T-72 is mechanically simpler, easier to manufacture, and easier to service in the field. As such, the T-72 was intended to be a tank mass-produced to equip the bulk of the Soviet motor rifle units, and for sale to export partners and Eastern Bloc satellite estates. The T-80 design improved on several aspects of the earlier T-64 design, introducing a gas turbine engine in the original model, A, and incorporating suspension components of the T-72. This gave the tank a high power-to-weight ratio and made it easily the most mobile tank in service, albeit with acute range problems as the turbine used fuel rapidly, even at engine idle. Morozov's subsequent parallel development of the T-80 replaced the gas turbine with a commercial turbodiesel, to decrease fuel use and maintenance needs. In comparison to its anticipated opponent, the American M1 Abrams has a larger, 1,500 HP, 1,120 kilowatts, gas turbine, but weighs 61 tons compared to the T-80's 42.6 tons, so it has a worse HP/T ratio of 24.5 compared to 27.1 and is less maneuverable than the T-80, with GT. The T-80 can fire the same 9K112 Cobra, at 8 Songster, anti-tank guided missile through the main gun as the T-64. Russian T-80U of the 4th Tank Brigade, 2011. The T-80U main battle tank, 1985, U-for-Ulachshnaya, meaning improvement, was designed by SKB-2 in Leningrad, Hull, and the Morozov Bureau, Turret and Armament. It is a further development of the T-80 and is powered by the 1,250 HP, 919 kilowatts, GTD 1,250 gas turbine. It is a step ahead of the GTD 1000T and GTD 1000TF engines that were installed on the previous tanks of the T-80 line. This gas turbine can use jet fuel's diesel, and low-octane gasoline, and has good dynamic stability, service life, and reliability. The GTD 1250 has a built-in automatic system of dust deposit removal. It retains the T-80's high fuel use, which the Russian army found unacceptable during the Chechen conflicts. It is equipped with the Tu-46 fire control system and a new turret. The T-80U is protected by a second generation of explosive reactive armor called Contact 5, which can reduce the penetration of armor-piercing finstabilized discarding sabot, APFS, rounds, such as the M829A1 Silver Bullet, by 38%, and of high explosive anti-tank, heat, rounds. 24. Contact 5 had been developed as a response to the threat of modern APFS, spurred by testing that found that the Israeli 105mm M111 APFS ammunition could defeat the glacis armor of the latest models of the T-72 and T-80. 25. T-80U gunner position. T-80U commander position. The Contact 5 is integrated into the design of the turret, hull, and BRODM deep wading equipment. Like all of the previous T-80 models, The T-80U has full-length rubber side skirts protecting the sides, with those above the first 3 road wheels being armored and are provided with lifting handles. It can fire the 9M119 Reflex, at 11 sniper, guided missile and the long rod